let's go.
What's the most disappointing aspect of that?
Obviously, we're outplayed by a very good team. I think our first quarter we were competitive and looked like we were going to be able to go with them for the majority of the game. But yeah, their ability to beat us up around the contest, win more contested footy, and then control the ball. That was probably the most disappointing part of the game. Was we weren't able to keep the game in a contest, and 3, 4, 5, 6 repeated stoppages, and then get our tackle count up 80, 90, 100, which you need to do against Hawthorn. We're able the ball to get on the outside too often, and once they get a sort of uncontested possession or a mark, we weren't able to get the ball back off them. Mitchell did some damage through the middle of the ground from the back line, and they were able to get their uncontested game going and honour the short targets, and we just didn't close that down quickly enough. So once that started, it was hard to get the game back, and you've also got Franklin and Roughead to do some things that pretty special. Got some easy goals, but also kicked some goals that were quite hard to kick, and that's the skill they've got. So we're beaten in a lot of areas of the game, but I think we learn a lot about where we are, and if we get to play them again, how we can do better.
Just based on the results, your results this season, do you think it's fair to say there's a bit of a gap between Hawthorn, Geelong and Sydney to Essendon?
No. I don't. I think that
the results would say otherwise. But
yeah, I think if you look back at the Geelong game, Rowan, that we're in the game for a long time, had it kicked well in the third quarter, then we would have given ourselves a chance. We'd like to play those sides again. I think that we'd like to get a chance to play against them again in the finals, and we've obviously got a lot of work to do to get to be able to do that. We certainly need to win a number of games to give ourselves the opportunity in top 4, but I believe that if we play the game the way we want to play it, then we're a chance. Tonight we didn't execute the way that we needed to beat a really good team.
Were you taught a lesson tonight, do you think, James?
Taught a lesson. I think we're sitting here thinking like it was a terrible game by our players. We didn't see it that way. We saw that we got beaten in a number of parts of the game, but we certainly came out of the game with a lot of positive things that we can take out of the game. I don't think our best players played well. I think if you want to compete against the really good teams, then you have to have your top 8 or 9 players playing at the peak of their powers. And Hawthorn had that, and I think they generally played better than we did, as well as being a better team at the moment.
Was the intensity down, James?
No, it wasn't in the first quarter. The first quarter was really good, but it wasn't for the whole game. And I think if you allow an opposition to control the game with the ball in their hands, you are chasing a lot and running a lot, and that can wear you out. So the time and possession stat is really important against Hawthorn, and they won the ball and kept it off us really well.
You sent Heath Hocking to Isaac Smith at the start of the game. Was there any reason why you didn't send him to Mitchell instead?
I thought Heath did really well on Isaac Smith early. He'd been really damaging for them on the outside and stop them. You want to prevent Hawthorn spreading with the ball, getting on the outside of you, and that enables us to do that. But Mitchell probably by halfway through the second quarter was pretty damaging, so we changed that around.
Say you learnt valuable lessons about tonight. What pleased you about tonight?
I thought at times we got ourselves back in the game. The first quarter pleased us. We got Michael Hurley back into some form up forward, which really pleased us. And we got to play another game without our captain and get some more football into some young players. So the scoreboard certainly wasn't pleasing, but the ability to it could have been I think at half time after the third quarter could have been a really big spanking by more than 56 points or whatever it was, and I thought we fought back at certain periods in the third quarter and the last quarter.
Do you know how far off Joe is?
We're hoping he'll play this week. I think he has an X-ray on his shoulder, on his collarbone on Thursday. If that comes up well, he'll play against Collingwood.
So, Ryan made the point that your record on the face of it is not flash against the other top 4 sides at the moment. But the way you're talking, on the bigger picture, you feel that there are areas that can be turned around quickly. I
certainly don't mean to be dismissive of Rowan's question, Rowan. I didn't mean to be rude towards you, but I don't generally agree that we can't be there. I think that on tonight's performance, we've got a lot to learn, and I will make an excuse. We're not great off 2 6-day breaks. We haven't been for a long time. We've had that. and we've got to play better, obviously, to compete against those teams. But we still are a young team developing, and I think each time you play against quality opposition, that was the message at half-time, is the result is one thing, but we want to keep learning from playing against these really good teams. And we got taught a lesson when Hawthorn had the ball in their hands, we couldn't get it back off them. We got taught a lesson today about how good we have to be defensively if we want to be a top 4 team, and we'll learn a lot from that, and that'll give us a lot of ammunition or teaching tools with our players to show them, to teach them. But hopefully over the next 5 weeks we can get them up to the standard we want to get them to.
Is that the best of those teams we're talking about? Have they played to a higher level than the other ones did? Is that the best anyone's played against you this year?
I think so. I think that probably Sydney, it's hard to tell because it was such a terrible night. But Geelong were just terrific for patches of the game. But I thought for the whole game tonight, Hawthorn were the best we've played, and their forward line is scary. It's hard to know who to send to who and where to go, and if Buddy doesn't get you, then Roughhead does, and then there's Gunston, then there's Bruce, and Rioli seems to pop up if the other 4 or 5 don't get you. And so you just, if you want to beat Hawthorn, you can't let it get in their forward line. If it gets in there enough, they'll score.
Got a bit willing there in the third quarter. Jake, we understand, is on report for rough conduct. What did you think of your players in that in that situation where it got a bit willing? Were you okay with how they handled it? Yeah,
look, I haven't seen any of the incidents. It's hard to see them, but I don't mind our players, making sure they protect themselves, look after themselves, and look after their teammates, as long as they don't cross the line and do anything that's that's not called for and gets reported. I don't mind them sticking up for themselves. I thought that we did get beaten up at the contest, and we have to get some intensity back around the contest, some ferocity that we had earlier in the year. And we've won 6 in a row up until tonight, and our contested work hasn't been great in all of those games. So that's an area that we'll focus on over this week to get ready for Collingwood.
You've got to get back on the bike pretty quickly, don't you? Given that, Collingwood, they've been in great form either, but it's still a big challenge, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's we've got tough 5 weeks, and we want to, obviously, the MCG against Collingwood, huge game again. They're fighting for top 5 or 6. We're hopefully fighting for top 4 spots. So both sides will be desperate to win the game, and it's another huge game for our club, and we're looking forward to it.
Just, I know your eyes will roll when I ask this question, but D-Day is approaching. When decisions get made by higher authorities. I'm just wondering, how do you cope with that, with the mindset? The team. Like you're talking, the next 5 weeks we've got to position ourselves, but do you just have to shut all the outside stuff out and just concentrate on doing the job?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question, but I don't want to sound smug or cocky or overconfident or anything, but there's a belief that that players haven't taken anything illegal in our football club, and there has been for a long time. And the start of this process to the end of the process is a belief in our football club that our players are not taking anything illegal, and our belief is still strong in that. And the report comes out in 2 weeks, a week. I'm not sure the exact date, but when it does, we're all hopeful. We're all just praying that's the case, because our belief is that we haven't given them anything illegal and that we are not drug cheats.
I get that, but then there's the AFL.
Well, I can't even control that, but I will say to you, we are confident that we are not drug cheats. And the sooner this thing is over, the better for everyone. Because this is affecting so many people's lives. It's got to the point that if it's not over very quickly, it's going to affect people's lives permanently, and it's just got to finish. It has to finish, because it's not fair on so many people.
From the sound of your voice, it's been almost the hardest week you've had in all.
No, it's not about this week. It's not. This week's another week of 6 months of just living through an ordeal that people shouldn't have to live through. And I'm not trying to sound like feeling sorry for us, but it's getting to the point where it's affecting people's lives too much, and it has to finish, because it's going to affect people's lives permanently, and that's not what this should be about.
When you say it's affecting their lives, like...
No, their lives, not their wives, their
No, I
lives.
said lives. It's like toll on family or...
Well, I don't want to go into personal incidents because that'll all come out, but can I keep going? No, it's just got to finish. It has to finish.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.